Hello, friends. Good morning. Uh, I am your host today, Victor Escalante. Vicky Cruz is unfortunately not able to join us today because she had a family emergency. We're praying for her and her son, who is going through some medical problems. Today, on the Hero Network, we're going to cover a very fascinating topic and a very interesting story. The topic is how God's plan is unfolding. So, returning today is our guest from last week, Isaac Cortina, and we're going to have a very lively conversation this morning talking about how God's plan is working in our lives, in our personal lives, and in our business life, if you will, and how it's all working out for the best. Isaac, welcome to the Hero Network.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Victor. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back and be present here with you today. Thank you so much. And this is a very important topic. I think it's very important to share our journey, what we're seeing with others, so they can understand too what maybe it's happening to them as well.
Absolutely.
So
could we have some sound in the control room because our we don't have any sound, please. Okay, so Isaac, I want to back up. I want to roll back time.
Let's go.
And I want to tell our listeners how you and I met as part of, again, of the divine plan. The divine plan that is working out.
How beautiful. Yeah.
So I want to say 2.5, 3 years ago, I think it's 2 years ago, you and I met. Tell us the story behind that.
Yes. So we met about 2.5 years ago. My plan is at that time, I wanted to get more familiar with public speaking, to be a little more comfortable. So I started to take a course with you at that time. It was a group setting. I think it was around maybe 7 or 8.
It was about,
7 or 8. So they all had a background in public speaking, a little bit, but they wanted to enhance their skills. I feel like I didn't have anything. I was just coming to the table fresh and new. And sometimes it's new because you're willing to learn these skills, so you haven't learned the right or the wrong way. So you're just learning, So I'm just grateful you were a teacher there. But my first time going to get training from you as a public speaker, it was incredibly hard.
Yes. And I was a drill sergeant because I wouldn't let you get away with anything.
You were really mean. No.
I was using tough love to up your game.
I love that.
To be able to be a great speaker. We still don't have sound. We don't have sound. But let's keep talking.
Absolutely. So it was tough love. Absolutely. The first time, I'll be honest, I broke down in the middle of the class because at that time it was mostly.
Be honest, you broke down and cried.
There was a scale, and like on one end of the scale there was more fear than actually enjoying and seeing those good fruits that you're hoping to come out. So I'm like, why am I feeling fear? You know what I mean? So I felt more fear being in front of that class, but I was straight out crying because there were some things that I guess I didn't deal with in the past, and
let me talk about that.
Yes.
So we all have it, okay, including moi. So what happens is when we go through difficult emotional experiences, we stuff those feelings and we bury those feelings alive.
Like putting it into a closet, pretty much.
Compartmentalizing and burying those feelings. But guess what? Those feelings never go away.
They don't.
Okay? They're there waiting to be processed and released.
Yeah.
So now I can tell you what happened because the exercise consisted of you telling a personal story that no one else knows about you.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because the science behind that is it's something that your mind can articulate because, again, it's your story. Nobody else knows that story. So you can't be fearful of telling something or being
Authentic.
yes, inauthentic in front of a group, because again, this is your excuse me, your story. No one knows your story better than you. Unfortunately for you, you tapped into you drilled right into those feelings that you had stuffed in your past.
Yeah, but you know what? It was just the right moment because I when I do something, I'm hungry for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
The
at that
timing,
time,
again, this is God's timing.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you could have hightailed it and turned back and never returned.
yeah, I could have.
In fact, I think you did a couple of times, but
Just
you
two
kept
times,
coming.
just 2 weeks.
But you kept coming back.
Yeah,
You kept
2
coming
weeks.
back.
Yeah, 2 weeks back.
What kept you coming back? I'm just curious now because I never got the full story.
What kept me from coming back is after I went through that horrible experience in the classroom, right? But it was something that I needed to do. But I feel so confident afterwards. I feel
Yes.
like if I can do that, I feel like I can do
You
anything.
can do anything.
So at that time, I was like, okay, I have to find out what's on the other side
Yes.
of developing these skills.
Yes.
I have to,
Yes.
because now I'm in the thick of it now.
Yes.
I have to go through with it. I have to. So
You can never return back to where you were once you take that first step.
No, you can't. You can't. No.
So you just kept going forward,
Yes, I
and
kept
and
going.
again, you learned the mechanics of public speaking. You know, there's a process that you got to go through mentally. And yesterday, in the coaches certification training, which kudos to you for being there, because you're honing now your craft. You got the basic understanding of public speaking, and now it's time to acquire mastery through the application,
Yes.
through the practice. And what better way by talking to students and building heroes.
Yeah, the whole Saturday morning, you're just talking
Yeah.
to many students, and that's
And you must have the skills to handle group dynamics, because again, sometimes they will defy you, sometimes they will challenge you, but you gotta be able to embrace whatever the students throw at you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Work with it, understand where they're coming from, so that you can transmutate whatever they present to you. But I digress. Let's go back to now we got sound. Let's go back to you completing the class successfully. You are in the mortgage field industry,
Yes, sir. Correct.
and you reconnected with me because you wanted to be able to develop a higher profile within the community, and you wanted to be able to improve your public speaking, because in the direction that you're going, it requires a lot of public speaking. And again, when you're in front of the camera, as you are right now, okay, this is prime time. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is, you either know how to do it or you don't.
Okay.
And if you don't, go home. So this is, you're making a public persona. And again, what better way than to be a volunteer, instructor, coach to students? So, Isaac, what has the journey been like?
The journey has been quite interesting. Quite interesting. Keep developing those skills is just very important, and being in the classroom is just the repetitiveness of speaking with students and getting more comfortable and more comfortable. That's what's been very interesting.
Now, before we went on the air, you were telling me that November of last year,
Yes.
you had quite an experience. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So November of last year was very interesting. And I say this because this is another part that's very important to me. But I rededicated my life to the Lord last November of 2024. And it was just I feel it was a very magical moment.
Okay.
Because it was a spontaneous baptism that I had to do.
Okay.
That I had to recommit myself. And
We're going to have people in the control room praying with you or clapping for you.
yes. And
So talk to us about that.
yes. In that afternoon, it was okay. Long story short, very very short.
Actually, we went the long story, okay? So you don't have to go short.
Okay, awesome. So a night before, I was hanging out in Galveston, and I was just hanging out with my buddies out there, just having a good time,
Living the life.
living the life. That's right. And I felt no remorse about doing those things, just being out there and not thinking anything of God,
Right.
anything.
Right.
And anyways, we stopped at a gas station, right? And we got some food at Galveston. And then we went back home to Katy.
Okay.
The next morning, my friend calls me and he calls me and says, "Hey, Isaac, I got a family that wants to get baptized."
Okay.
I was like, "Okay, good for them." And then he's like, "It will be nice if you can join us, be part of this baptism." I was like, "Okay." So I go and pick up my friend. I'm in Katy. He's in Humble.
Okay.
I start driving to Humble, taking 99.
That's a long ways.
Because I
That's-
hate traffic. So I take 99, and I just go 105 miles an hour and
Okay.
just take 99 all the way
Okay.
down to Humble. So halfway there, he calls me again. And it's a good friend of mine, Noe. He calls me again, and he tells me, "Hey, Isaac, bad news. We can't find a pool to baptize this family at all. At all. And as a matter of fact, they're waiting for us in Galveston the night after." I'm
Okay.
like, okay. So I don't think of it as much. So I'm like, okay, I'm going with the flow, right? Going with the flow. I pick up my friend. He was telling me his testimony on the way
Okay.
to Galveston. I was sharing my thoughts with him and
Okay.
all that. Anyways, we get to Galveston. We parked on the seawall.
Okay.
And he tells me, "Isaac, if there's anything that you want to confess, anything that you want to redo, anything at all, I think this is a very great time. We're around very great people. And if you ever want to just pray or do anything, this is the right time to do it. We're at the beach where, it was dark out, but you're around good people." So I thought to myself, and keep in mind, they had no idea that
Yeah.
I was here the night
Right.
before.
Right.
In the same square
The
mile.
night before, you were a party animal, a hedonist,
Yes.
throwing all caution to the wind, just having a great party. Being are you a millennial or a Zoomer? You're Generation Z, aren't you?
Z, exactly.
Okay.
Z.
So being a Zoomer, just doing the Zoomer thing. Okay.
Exactly. So when he said that, I'm like, okay, it feels weird that I'm.
This is a redo.
That's what it felt. If you snatched my words out of my mouth, it was a redo.
Yeah.
It was a redo, and it gets very, very, very magical.
Okay.
Look, so I thought about what he said. So we went to the beach. We went to the sand. We all prayed, and I told him, "You know what? I'm gonna rededicate my life."
Okay.
Right here. So what happens is the family that was going to get baptized, they prayed, they went into the ocean,
Okay.
they got baptized.
All right.
I stayed behind with another buddy. And right there and there, I just got on my knees, confessed, and rededicated my life. And it seems like it's just too good to be true, but
Yes.
let me explain a little better. But I went into the water, I got baptized. And it was so magical. And when I got back up, we prayed one more time.
Okay.
And then we went back into the sand. And while I was waist deep in the water, coming out of the water, I noticed that I was across the street from the gas station where I stopped last night.
Wow. How crazy is that?
A night before.
Yeah.
A redo.
Just a
of the night
matter of a
before.
few hours.
Few hours.
Few hours, you're redoing something that you did.
And really,
But this time, through a different energy, through a different perspective, through a different intention.
right, exactly. And just keep in mind, we could have baptized his family. My buddy could have baptized his family
Yes.
anywhere in
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Anywhere,
Yes.
anywhere.
Yes.
He's in
Yes.
Humble.
Yes.
I was in Katy. Anywhere.
This sounds like a setup, okay?
but
Now,
it had to be specifically across the street from the gas station where I stopped. That's
yeah,
not-
yeah. No, this was a setup, and it was divine setup. Now,
Anyways, we prayed.
yes.
I got out of the water. We get in our car, and we start to search up some places to go to eat because we're hungry, and we were very, very, very cold and wet.
I can imagine.
Because it was a spontaneous
Sure,
baptism, so
sure.
it was. I didn't have any clothes, just a towel, and that's pretty much it. And it was windy. And
Yeah.
Anyways, we go to a pizza place, and I was in a yield lane about to go into the parking space of the pizza place, and there's an open parking spot in front of the restaurant. I was like, cool, lucky day. I parked, and let me tell you what, when I opened that door, I see a red truck,
Okay.
and I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. And the more I look, the more I notice that it's the same
Truck as
car
yours.
that I drive.
Yes.
Same year model.
Yes.
Same color.
Yes.
Same everything. And I even
Did you question yourself whether you were alive?
many times, many times, and I pointed out to my friends, hey, this is the same truck that I have, and they even said, you sure, Isaac? It even has those nasty dents on the car.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, especially those dents, because my car has some dents on there, in there, and there's on the back of the Toyota Tundra, there's like a little missing piece.
Yes.
Really on the back part.
Yes.
And I had the same thing missing. So it just feel like what I got away from this is that all those years that I laid astray, that I feel like God wasn't working. That night, he confirmed that he can orchestrate things in our life,
Absolutely.
and that he is always ahead of us.
Yes.
He can orchestrate.
Yep.
We don't have to manipulate.
Yes.
We don't have to try so hard. If we seek him, he's going to orchestrate these things in our lives.
Yes. We can do it his way or we can do it our way. And we can try it our way, but eventually it's like, okay, God, I'll give up. That was the point that I was in Parallel Universe November of last year.
That's amazing.
Now I'm curious to know what other things were happening around November of last year, because remember, that was the election, okay? It's like, again, everything is in God's hands. Everything is part of God's plan, and whatever needs to happen is going to happen. Whatever we cannot control, we need to not worry. Just let it go. Just let it go and just let God be. Now,
Amen.
so our control room is we have our producer giving us high five. So now I'm curious to interview him. What happened in November of last year?
think we can
Because I
extra
wouldn't be
chair.
surprised if God called him out and says, "Hey, it's like time for you to get to work, and do what needs to happen in order to make this world a better place." Now, so there's an intersection of energies, intentions, love, things are happening. So my story with Vicky goes back to about 8 years ago, that my late publisher of my first book, Courageous Healing, excuse me, that's my new book coming out, is Courageous Living, okay? And it's the memoir of a Jesuit priest, okay? So my late publisher says, "Hey, I know this real dynamic lady that I think you need to meet. You need to connect with her." So I said, "Sure, I'll give her a call."
Don't tell me.
So he gives me her number. I give her a call. She never calls back. I just
Sounds like Vicky.
yeah. So it's like whatever. It's like, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. I just go on. Somehow, somewhere. Oh, it was we have a mutual friend that she says, hey, I know this real dynamic lady that I think you two should connect. And I said, who is it? So she tells me, and I said, oh, I tried to connect with her, but she didn't want to. So it's like,
That's confirmation twice.
yeah,
Twice.
exactly. So, so anyway, somehow she made the connection is what happened. So we connected, and she told me what she was doing. Back then, she had the nonprofit called Mission One International. Okay. So she told me that her mission was to feed the homeless of Houston. So I said, good for you. That's not my lane. I said, I was fishing for common ground.
Right.
And so I couldn't find any. So, but something told me, God told me, okay? There's no something. God is in charge, and God told me, help her out with, because I have extensive media experience, help her out with some of the publicity, messaging, what have you. Okay, so I said, I'll be your media liaison to get your news out into the community. So we had a couple board meetings, and there was a lot of enthusiasm to get this done, to be able to feed the homeless, find them shelter, get them resources. And the board never materialized in as far as getting things done. Then one of the big hurricanes or big storms hits Houston, and half of the board lose their house or are seriously damaged to where they can't continue to focus on Mission One International. So I lose contact with Vicky, and about 2 years ago, we reconnected. And I asked her, so what are you up to these days? So, she was being her usual self, real bubbly, telling me what else she was doing. So again, my comment is, well, good for you. So somehow, God put it in both of our hearts and minds that we needed to start working together. And so I saw now it was Mission One USA. She had scaled back from Mission One International to Mission One USA. And I, out of desperation for her, I said, Vicky, your mission to bring unity in the community needs a different strategy. I said, because what you're doing hasn't worked, and it's not going to work based upon my experience, unless you're able to penetrate people's consciousness with something that is near and dear to their hearts. So she started telling me about how she created the Hero Program in a middle school during COVID. And I said, I think that's the winning card. I think that's what's going to help you to bring a coalition together of people to be able to make a difference and to be able to raise the awareness of people coming together for a common cause. You know that food and music brings people together.
Oh, all day.
Yeah. So God put it in my mind that children, based upon the work that she had done, children is a unifying factor that crosses political barriers, crosses ethnicities, crosses everything. Children are our future. So I said, let me build a brand. So I created the little monito, that little monito. That's my creation.
I like that guy.
Yeah. So I created the brand, and then the rest was messaging, and the rest was getting it out into the community, getting it out into children's groups. So our very first project was an aftercare program of small children. They were the ages were 4 to about 8, 4 to 8, And of course, Vicky just came alive. That's her element. You've seen her when
Yes.
she's in her element.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she's channeling the Holy Spirit and she's like glowing everywhere. It's like her energy is contagious and just takes over the room because, again, she's so passionate about what she does. And so, big success. She had a transformative experience from that first group because the day that we were covering encouraging, a little African American girl made an encouraging card for her, gave it to her. But she didn't know that it was for her. Or she told her, but she didn't think that much about it until she got in the car.
So the student gave
gave
encouraging
her
words to Vicky.
gave her a card.
Okay.
Told her, I made this for you, Miss Cruz. So she gets in the car and she starts bawling because, again, she had had a rough day that day.
That's incredible.
And so this was confirmation. This was confirmation that we were both on the right track. And that, I mean, she started bawling and she went live of how touching it was for her. She was ready to adopt this kid and put her in her will because it was so touching. Okay.
What did the card say? Do you remember
I
anything?
never read it.
No?
I never read
Okay.
it, so I don't know what it said. But anyhow,
Next time Vicky can bring it or something.
yeah, we should have her bring it and read it. She'll probably start bawling again. So anyway, as a result of that, again, that was a confirmation that we're on the right path. So, but I want to back up because Vicky was on her way to becoming a millionaire before we launched Hero. And then God stopped her dead in her tracks and spoke to her and says, do you want to make leaders or do you want to make money? And of course, because she's a very devout spiritual person, the answer was obvious. It's like, I'm not going to take it with me, God. So
You're not. It's meaningless.
I could leave it for my kids, but they're probably going to waste it or whatever her motivation is. She decided that she was going to make leaders. And the rest is history. Now, again, this is not about us. This is about God's plan unfolding and God bringing people together, God putting children as a top priority and families so that we, again, get our priorities straight. Yesterday, Isaac, in the training that we put on as the principal instructor for Hero coaches and instructors, what was your experience in seeing families come together there because they were called and other individuals were called to be there to learn the art of public speaking, to learn the art of group dynamics?
Honestly, I was quite surprised because, like I was telling you before the show, it's hard to get people to attend anywhere from 6 to 8 p.m. because most of these parents attending, they got work, they got school, they got kids, they got so many things on their plate, but they were there and it was a packed, really packed place. And it was a great experience. And, seeing people that are hungry for a change and willing to better their skills, in public speaking. So it went really well. And especially that they got to act it out.
Yes.
And be part of the group and you kind of coach them, give them some gold nuggets throughout the class. It was a very special, very great moment. And it's so amazing to see people get off of the sidelines and be a team player here because we are on a mission, you know? So it was.
That's our message to you, listeners. If you're watching this, is we need your life experience. Every one of you has a master's degree, some a PhD in what not to do. We need that experience.
Yes.
We need that experience of how making the wrong choices led you down the wrong path and how God called you to do the right thing. And so by putting that experience to good use in teaching students, you are working God's plan. You are part of the plan. Now, Ivan, we're almost out of time, but I want to go back in time to your personal experience
Okay.
of what is the through line in your life's purpose that God brought you here to be a hero instructor. You're a native of
El Salvador.
El Salvador.
Yes.
What is the through line to the present?
Explain your question one more time.
I'll ask it again.
Yes.
And very specific. Throughout your life, you've had glimpses. We all do. Glimpses of how God is working and how you are led to meet certain people. Starting with the lady
Yes.
that asked you to translate the mortgage
absolutely,
papers that led you to become a mortgage
Loan
broker.
officer, yes.
Okay. But your preparation actually started in El Salvador. Okay.
Yes.
So it's like there's God's plan working out in every one of us. So what is the through line? Connect the dots of how God brought you to today. And you may not have even thought about this, but maybe today God will lay it out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that I've been reflecting on at the last couple of months, but as a business owner, as Hispanic business owner, we are working in all areas,
Yes.
right? Every areas, because we have to, in our community, in our schools, in our business, everywhere in our families. So I focus on where things are branching off to, you know, without needing too much effort, you know?
Sure.
And
By the way, that's the way God's plan works. It's like
Yes.
it's effortless. You don't
Yes.
have to strive. You don't have to fight. It's like it just unfolds. When you give up and put yourself in God's hands, God will provide the means, the resources, the people. So go ahead.
yes, so I see since I first became a coach, and it's been growing rapidly
Yes.
working with you guys. And
Yes.
now I'm at a point where I'm inviting close friends of mine
Yes.
that are
Get on
also
board.
business owners that
Get on board.
I tell them about this. They're
Yes.
like, Isaac, sign me up, please.
Yes.
Please send me the info. So I'm bringing people along that are in the same mentality as I am, in the same purpose. So
Yes.
it's I see this growing out pretty quickly.
Yes.
You know, and this is an area of my life where it's growing and it's just effortless, and we just all come together and for a higher purpose. You know.
Now, can you imagine, Isaac, thinking of where you are when we first met? Can you imagine you would be here?
Never. never. And I'll leave you guys with this. Is the final note is self-improvement works the same way as compound interest.
Yes.
Self-improvement. Keep improving in yourself.
Yes.
You may not see the money, the fruits of it, but it's compound interest. I started this 2 years
The
ago with
control
Victor.
room is clapping.
Now look at me now,
Yes.
and then I just can't imagine 5 years from now.
Yes.
I can't even imagine next year, you know, working with you guys. So
I
self-improvement.
can get my crystal ball out and look into your future, and I can.
No, let's not do that.
Okay.
No, tell us.
We'll take out the magic. I can make some educated predictions.
Yes.
My educated prediction is if you keep working at it, Isaac, over and over and over and over again, working your craft over and over and over again to where it becomes second nature to you.
Yes.
Because when I get in front of a group, to me it's second nature because I've
is.
done this for decades. Okay, it's like I don't need a script. You give me an audience, you give me a
It's a
topic.
part of Victor already.
Exactly. That's who I am. So that's where I see you is being able to be so skilled at public speaking that you could effectively speak to any audience, anywhere, anytime, and have that conviction, have those persuasive skills to be able to get people to buy in, get people to follow you, get people to believe in your cause.
Yeah, a great communicator.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
The great master was the master of communication. You're learning how he did it because I have the science.
Yes, sir.
All right, friends. Well, that's going to do it for today. Prayers to Vicky and her son, who is Michael, who is going through some health problems. Until next time, go out and have a great week. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Ivan.
Victor. Thank you so much.